Hey, good morning, CEFC. During this season when things are just kind of different, like we've been talking about for many, many days now, I was thinking about what might be helpful for you. And I think one huge step that we can all take together is just being wise about ways that we can avoid stepping into sin. Now, I caution this a little bit because I think there's a risk that we would spend so much time looking inward that we can get caught up on what's on the inside and forget to look outward to Christ. Though certainly Christ lives in us, he draws us up and out of ourselves when we die to self, and that is by far the best. But the scriptures do give us some really kind of practical steps, if we follow them, about how we can avoid sin and what leads to death. And one of those best examples I can think of is in James chapter 1, starting at verse 14. I'll read it for you now. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it is conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers. So obviously, we can all agree death is bad. We don't want that. And that can be death in the most literal sense, certainly, but also death in the figurative sense of death of relationship, death of sense of power or connection or intimacy or all kinds of good things that God has for us that sin can kill. Now, certainly, God can forgive sin through Christ, but how much better to not sin in the first place? And I think that's the key he's given us here, is that sin is not the first step, it's desire. So here's something we can do. If you find yourself being tempted, if you find yourself being drawn to things, because perhaps right now you have less accountability than you used to, you have more free time than you used to, you're more bored than you used to be, and brothers, that can be a devil's playground sometimes. So let's be wise. What are the desires that we're battling with? Let's find out, what is it that I want? And not just the first step of what the sin might be, but what's underneath it? Do you want to feel close or valued or important? And I would just challenge you, name that. Name that in your own heart and bring it to Jesus and say, I'm desiring this right now more than I'm desiring you. Tell him the truth. And then apologize. Ask him to forgive you and to cleanse you of that desire and to place that desire on him. Because he gives us our significance. He gives us our identity. He gives us all good things. So do not be deceived that what your flesh might be desiring is not better than what Christ has for you. And desire gives birth to sin, gives birth to death. Let's not even go down the path and cut it off at the chase as soon as we can. I'm with you, I'm for you, and Christ loves you and is for you, and I pray that you are persevering in these times. God bless. We'll see you soon.